Right, main priority is my life. There is a danger of a bit of a marital breakdown over the radio here, which may or may not result in me being left 8 meters up in the air. It's a Friday, which means it's Dream Team day. Joe's on the whacking, I'm on the raking, and hopefully we're going to get our kitchen relatively flat. We want to end up 50 millimeters below the inside course.
Which is right there in the middle, yeah?
Below the blue, basically. Yeah. So we've lasered the middle, we're quite close, but it's just, we're at the edge, we've kind of backfilled. We've backfilled the cavity with concrete, and we've backfilled type 1 against it now. But we want to whack that, and then I'll add more.
Cool.
Okay?
Let's get whacking.
Let's get whacking. Oh, and most exciting thing is, I fixed something. The whacker plate was playing up, tried absolutely everything, nailed a load of carb cleaner down through the air filter, and it would run on that, but as soon as you stopped spraying, it would die. So something was clogged. The first time in my life, I learned how to take a carburetor apart, took the pin jet bit out, little safety pin, boop, boop, boop. See daylight, ran a dream. Oh, so we should be good. I mean, I know it's tiny and I know a roller would make more sense, but because we're doing a zone at a time, this is the same size as a big patio, isn't it, really? Quite a big patio. We'll just, you know, you'd use a whacker plate for that, so let's go.
We look to the mountains. We don't care if it's only a dream. Nothing is really what it seems anyway.
It's another sunny day and another new machine on the job. I've rented a telehandler because we were using the forklift for getting the purlins down and accessing things, but we've hired a basket and telehandler and it's working far better. We've only got it for 3 days, but the new purlins arrive tomorrow, so we'll be able to get up there, take these down, paint the steels, get the new purlins up and bolted, hopefully within the next 3 days.
You get fooled by anyone so easily. I'm lost. You say you're tired, so am I. But without you, I'm lost. I'm lost. Yeah, we can walk on water while the boats are leaking. Soon the walls will be giving in. Anytime now, anytime now. Another shrug of the shoulders. I guess I'll be walking home in the rain. I lost you, but then you were mine again. Just let the wind and the fire, we forget about everything, every true remarkable thing. No wonder we lost.
Welcome back to the Fun Brigade. I'm in my shorts and we made an earlier start today, but I still don't think we're going to get it all done. We've got onto the second half of the barn, or second quarter I should say, working along this way whilst we've got the telehandler. I'll give you a look at what this looks like. So it looks really rusty and bad, but as soon as it's just a little crust of paint where droplets have probably sat for ages. As soon as you're on that, it's not really that rusty. As soon as you wire wheel it or whiz it off with the grinder, you're back to clean. So I'm wire brushing it first, just take the worst of it off, sweeping it down, and then just grinding it back. And as soon as I can see shiny clean, done, get it primed, then we're all good. Right, we are done with the grinding on the lower sections. It's quite nice and peaceful now without the engine going. So we're going to be working on the middle bit now. Joe's gone out. Unfortunately, our screw fix order went walkabouts with the courier, so Joe's managed to find all of those items and go and rescue the day, save the day by going to go and get all the bolts, washers, nuts, everything we need. All the purlins arrived yesterday, so they are hopefully all going to fit fine. They're just single span, so 15 foot for 15 foot bays. Tom's been along and we've just been spot priming anything I've grinded with just an aerosol red oxide paint, which dries just almost instantly. And then Tom's now gone up with our new paint, which is white. Don't know what I was thinking of going for white. It's going to be quite a feature, isn't it? I think because the underside of the roof in the exposed areas will be white, I was just thinking, oh, we'll paint the beams white just so they disappear into the roof until we decide what to do, if we want to box them in or make them a feature. But it does mean we're going to have this bright white frame for the next few weeks before the roof goes on. So Tom's blinding himself by being up there painting the tops. So that's all we're interested in at the moment, is getting the tops painted and the cleats. Hopefully it's not going to be too tacky, because we want to get most of the purlins up whilst we've got the telehandler. We can do some with the forklift, but it's just far easier if we can just kind of boom out, get them on. I'm hoping it won't take too long. We've already got holes in the cleats, but I've bought unpunched purlins, so we should be able to clamp it on, drill through, bolt, and move on to the next one. Right, excuse the embarrassing hat, number 2 of the day. Thanks to Bradford's for dropping this off. No affiliation with them, but they do a good hat. Right, we are getting on with things. Tom is now up in the overpriced step ladder, getting that end painted. They are drying very, very quickly, which is on we've got weather on our side for something at least. I'm setting out these purlins now, and their reason being that then we can come in, stack 4 on the basket, and then we can go up and I can start getting them bolted in position. So I'll show you these purlins. They are what the structural engineer spec'd, albeit a little bit thicker actually. We had the option of going with wood, but we could have kept the current ones were fine structurally. There's a tolerance for stability as far as plasterboard cracking, and they would have probably just had a little bit too much flex in. It was a bit borderline, so we could have either added more timber or we could have changed them for these. Either way, we decided we're going to repurpose those for other uses inside the building, and we're going to go with these for the roof. One of the reasons being that the new roof is probably not as forgiving as an old corrugated roof, so if there are any humps in the old timbers, it would probably show up more, so better to start flat. Well, the silly hat's gone. Sorry I didn't film too much of what we just did. Tom's headed off now, but we just wanted to get one little bay done with the purlins just as a bit of a trial. So there they are, all 4. That side's all bolted down now. These ones I'll go out with the impact driver when I get to this side. They're sat exactly on the halfway point, so the next ones will butt up to these and we'll just carry on along. Now I queried it with our structural engineer whether we needed the sleeve, so you can have a sleeve which is I imagine just a little bit oversized from this profile, and both purlins sit into that and it reinforces the join. We're already oversized and over spec with this purlin design, so we didn't need those. A butt join was fine, but now in hindsight what I could have done, or perhaps should have done, is gone for a 30-foot purlin, or a mixture of 30 foots and 15s. That way we could have spanned 2 bays at a time which maybe would give a flatter roof, I don't know. But of course far more difficult to get those purlins up on the roof to start with. Anyway, Tom's off doing his thing. Tomorrow he is in the middle of building a garden room for a couple locally, which is great. So he's doing that Thursdays and Fridays, which was always the plan, to kind of share him with his new venture of going out on his own. But that means that there's just me and a telehandler for the next 2 days, and that isn't very productive. So Joe is gonna get to grips with the telehandler tomorrow, hopefully. I've set it up now, I'm just getting everything prepared for the morning. Then we've got 3 beams which will remain permanently exposed for the initial time, which is where I'm stood now, which is going to be a patio, this one up here, and then I'm going to get Tim to come and blast clean these columns, those 2 columns, and the 2 beams, and the one above the patio. I just think as nice as it looks when you grind it back, as nice, you know, with a flat wheel or disc, and then paint it, it's still not super nice. And if you've got lighting, it will show up. So if you look at the lower sections, like here, this is where he sandblasted before, and it's just come up, and that was just slapped on with a roller. So if we get it blast cleaned nicely all the way back to steel, and then I spray finish it, I just think that will be a far nicer feature. But we're definitely against it now, because don't really want the telehandler to be sat around here for weeks on end. It's not cheap to have. The dumper we've already got out, and it came here for a week, and it's now into its 4th or 5th week. I think the dumper was 150, 170 a week, which is okay if you're using it, but if it's sat there, it's not great. But we have so much of a need for it at the moment, and I just cannot get anyone available to sort our dumper out. It's just us today, and we've got basically 48 hours, or not even that, 36 hours of this machine left to get this whole roof on.
It's a time trial.
It is, yeah. We're against it a little bit, but we're going to take our time. Radio's at the ready.
Woohoo!
There is a danger of a bit of a marital breakdown over the radio here, which may or may not result in me being left 8 meters up in the air whilst Joe walks off. There's your throne for the day.
Thank you.
Although we've only got enough diesel for a few hours, and it only has white diesel, so we'll have to go out if needs be. All right, so to start with, you're just going to be, I'm just going to be putting them up in position, so you don't need to move the wheels. But after that, you might have to do a little bit of shifting. But you can have a practice. Right, main priority is my life. No. Okay, so everything you need is on the stick.
Not left to right.
No lefty righty. Okay, that's tipping. No tipping. All right, so. Got one bay done. I don't want to know how long it took, because you have to times everything by, well, 10, 20. I've relocated the telehandler to the next bit. Now what's taking me a lot longer is I need to lift them up in place, so I really need the basket in the middle to do that. Then I need to, because you fit metal purlins on the downside of the cleats, which is the opposite to the timber ones. They were sat above. In my mind, it kind of makes more sense for them to be above. It would be easier to install, but anyway, we fit them below, and therefore you can't just sit them ready, because they just slide off. So you have to sit them either upwards of the cleats and then lift them over when you're ready, but that means you can only lift over one end at a time. And of course I want to butt it up to the previous one, so therefore I need to sit them up and then slide them across till they're butt up, clamp that end, and then go back all the way back to this end, drill and fix that side, and then come back to this end. And every time you move position, you of course have to move the whole telehandler. Something that if we had a cherry picker, then you could just swing it. And I say all this while over there's a flipping 11-meter reach cherry picker, which it's off hired at the moment, so it shouldn't be used. But also, that has so much going on. I'm sure I would get used to it, but I could control the whole thing from in there. Wouldn't need a second person. So maybe we should have looked at that, but you're probably meant to have all sorts of training with that. At least I know my way around a tractor and a telehandler nowadays. I've read up and up on all the different laws on stuff. Basically, when you use a safety cage on a forklift or on a loader like this, it's meant to be for sort of unplanned or not occasional, but you know, almost like spontaneous use, where you might have to do a repair or do something like that. Basically the idea is that if you can plan to use something better, then you should. But really in here the other option would be like a scissor lift, and on this terrain it wouldn't be any good, and most people who put these up use telehandlers, so I think we're okay and we're being super safe. And I'm sure when this thing was built back in the 70s, I very much doubt they had anything like this. Probably pushed it up on poles. Anyway, back to it. I'm going to load up. Jo's gone to have a cup of tea, settle her nerves, then she's going to jump back in the driver's seat. Right, it's getting a bit windy while Jo's over there rescuing a parasol. I'll show you what we're looking like. So we've done 3 bays. This one took us 40 minutes, 10 minutes of purling. I don't want to know if we can fit that into 2 days to do the whole thing, but anyway, it's looking good and they're all looking like they should be. The only problem I've got is the weld on brackets. The welds obviously mean that sometimes it kicks out the bottom. Can't really tell on this camera, but you can't get it really tight into the corner, so I'm clamping it in 2 ways as I bolt it. In reality, 150mm rigid panels, they're never going to just, you know, follow the little 1mm, 2mm drop if one's a tiny bit higher, but we may as well try, because at least it will look tidier from underneath. Okay, you can put me down now. I'll get the dog out, she'll nudge something. Mags, out! Killed by the dog. How's that for you?
Tell you what, my shins, I don't know what.
What are you doing with your shins?
I don't know. They're absolutely agony.
Is that because you're reaching with your toes?
Yeah, to push this.
They obviously didn't make a load all for a
tense, it's
little lady.
loading in my shins.
It's what? You're tense. You did a great job. Look at that. 40 minutes, wasn't it? Give or take. You didn't put a timer.
Yeah, I did.
I wouldn't have rushed.
What? 46 minutes.
Okay, but we stopped for a few things. So 40 minutes, so 10 minutes of purling.
And that was like a minute in.
10 minutes of purling, we've got 90 purlins, 900 minutes. Divide that by 60. What's that?
I don't know what you're doing.
900 divided by 60? 15 hours? No.
There's nothing about like that.
Well, there you go, no marriage counselling needed. What else do you do on a half nine on a Thursday evening? We're making the most of it, but we're definitely way behind. I think if we make the most of the full day tomorrow, it should mean that I can get the grinding, probably not painting, maybe I'll just touch up around the cleats, and then get maybe the purlins on that last bay. Maybe we weren't making the most of it in that first day, we should have been up there, but it was that grinding, it took so long to clean things back enough to paint. Biggest mistake so far is the bolts. Really didn't think it through. I thought I'll go for well, first of all I bought regular kind of zinc plated ones and stainless bolts, and Joe made up all the bolt washer nut sets, so they were assembled. That was just gonna speed things up, but I gave it a bag of stainless nuts, so all of that side now have stainless nuts on zinc plated bolts and washers, which I think is a bit of a no-no, because you get that sort of contaminant, what's it called, corrosion, different metal basically not playing with each other. So in theory I need to get back up there and swap all the nuts out for regular, and then I bought stainless steel ones, full stainless steel, so nut bolt washer for above the pool, thinking more corrosive environment, let's go for stainless steel. All of the steel work exposed is going to be painted in a chemical, a chemically resistant paint as well. But then I thought, well, all of our purlins are galvanized, maybe we shouldn't be using stainless steel fixings on galv hardware. So I'm probably going to have to change all the bolts, but at the end of the day we can still get the roof put on, and once we've got the second floor in and things like that, and other access, it's easy enough to get back up there. But I'm going to try and do them while we remember and while we've got access. Alright, let's go check on some piglets, make sure they're okay, and then hopefully just in a moment we'll be back up there tomorrow. Good, all 6 are happy and well. Shut up all the chickens. Right, you lot are okay. Oh, the other thing I've been up to when I haven't been on the barn is using some of the crushed concrete down here in the lower yard. I've trenched in all of the cables, so our 3-phase over to the new barn, the house barn, is from the here as well, so that goes under. So does the single phase 2 armour cables, basically go under here now and then come up, one into the workshop, the other one goes straight into the barn. That's what the yellow tape's for. I've also got some conduit there so we can just run new services, and there's also a Ethernet cat whatever cable running all of our security cameras. Well, some of them go under there, so that's all sorted. You lot are okay, and the idea being that we'll sort this out a little bit more. This is where the customers come for farm shop collections, chicken collections, all that sort of stuff, so that will all be a little bit neater and tidier in the near future, I hope. I mean, from a distance it doesn't look too different from what it did 2 weeks ago when the roof came off, but those steels are cleaner, some of them painted, and we got shiny new purlins on some of it. I know it all resembles a B&Q warehouse still, but one day it'll be a bit more homely, I promise. And one day I need one of these. What a machine. There are loads of tasks around the farm. I thought, oh, while I got this, I'll do those jobs, things like moving pig arcs. I've got loads of all the pylons, the big electric pylons that were brought down, left down there for me to build a bridge. I was going to lift them over ready for the bridge build. That ain't gonna get done. Right, there we go. I'm tired. See you in the morning. Right, Dream Team's back. We've got about 6 hours left with our telehandler, and we're gonna hopefully make good use of it. We're gonna do a bit of demolition first, or removal. We've got to get the wooden purlins down,
Okay.
and a bit of grinding.
Okay.
So you just need to raise me up. You raise me up. Okay, end of that wooden purlin.
Yeah.
I need to unbolt.
Yeah.
And then you might boom in. You might be able to just swing around just a foot, drive a foot, and to get me to this end.
There goes nothing.
Alright, we're getting there. Managed to get all of the end at the top done this morning. We're going to leave these ones. I've got a bigger telehandler coming up tomorrow morning to swap with this one, because this one's out on hire somewhere else. So that gives us one more day to get it done. There is my clown. Okay, Dan. Alright, well that's another 2 days of telehandler hire, and we still haven't finished. But it's got to go, it's got to get back now and move it up to the gate. And it's not available for the rest of this week, nor is the smaller one. So we're pretty much done. I think we're going to, well, we can manage this with the forklift. It's only the lower bits, these are really easy. But the problem is we just had a real nightmare with the drill bits. First load absolutely fine, but obviously they only have a limited lifespan, and I was using a stepped drill bit which worked really well for going through the purlins, but then drilling through these actual steels was just an absolute pain. I kind of worked up through the drill bits, but then I get through about 4 or 5 really expensive drill bits, these Bosch ones, thinking they'll last. But even with lubricant and everything, they do about 2 or 3 holes and that's it. So I'm gonna wait until I've got a mag drill or something like that. I'll see if I can hire one. If not, I might buy one, because we've got all the mezzanine steels to get done. So there we go. It was definitely worth getting out. Obviously we've got most of it done. It's taken a while to get these first 3 bays done now. We've added in, you can see those extra purlins in the middle. That's so our ridge capping that normally goes on top, you have another one, a liner underneath, that goes on the very first thing, and then our roof sheets will sit on top of that, so that join underneath will be airtight and you got somewhere to fill in from the top. But of course those all had to be drilled into the steel, which took time. Those ones are ready there, but I'm gonna have to see if I can get these last two done with a forklift or the tower scaffold. I need a change from all this roofing nonsense, so I'm probably going to leave this video here. I know that was a lot of time lapse because it's not an easy thing to film, but in summary, apart from the fact it looks like I've grown a moustache because there's so much dirt on my face, we didn't need to change those purlins, and we didn't have to, from a structural point of view. It could have worked. We could have put additional ones in as well, but there was quite a lot of twists and ups and downs, and I think that box profile that is going on would just show that far more than the old asbestos roof. So the last thing I want to do is spend tens of thousands of pounds on a new roof and have it like this. And equally, we wanted to grind and paint and tidy up the steel work anyway, and it made sense. If we're going to be up there, the price of the purlins was, I think, something like £25 each, those steel ones. I've got all those timber purlins come down. The good ones we can keep. We've got endless projects. I'm actually going to use some for the decking on the bridge. That's for another day. I've actually moved the pylons, well, with this telehandler last night, down ready. So I think we might take a break from the barn in the coming weeks and do a 1/2 day project to get that done. And then I'll be able to sell a few of the other purlins, and then we're going to hold back probably the nicest 30 or so and look at using them. We've got a curved staircase here. You can't imagine it because it looks like we're in a cow shed still, which we are. But the staircase goes up and turns back on itself 180. Now, the curved barrel wall of that was going to be oak paneling, you know, just vertical boards. But I really like the idea that we could get these ones, pick out the straightest ones. We'd have to do a bit of work to them. Might even get them sandblasted to reveal some of their texture. But then we'd have this big, sort of 5 meter high barrel, sort of curved staircase wall made from the original roof of the barn. So that'd be quite a nice way to incorporate them. Anyway, they will not be wasted. I'll leave it there. Thank you all for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.